up? What is up? What is up, everybody? My name is Brady.
Jesus Christ.
And as always, I am joined with my co-host, Cam Garrity. Cam.
Yeah.
How are we feeling today?
I'm going to recycle an old one because there's not as many words for fat, so we're going to go with jovial today.
Mm-hmm. Jovial. Isn't that like a happy state of fat?
Yeah, and I'm a happy state of fat.
Like jolly. Like it's
I've been taking CBD gummies daily. I was only using them for like panic attacks like recently, but I was like, I'm going to take them. I'm going to take them daily, and they've been helping. So.
Oh yeah, I bet they do, dude. Honestly.
I wanted to start, and I've got my notebook out here because we talked about this after. I want to start with my comment I made earlier on Twitter, which was that I believe Tim Duncan is a top 5 player of all time, and I have the statistics to back it up. I did a little research. I'm just going to explain my reasoning because, honestly, I think with the NBA, there's so many great players that, like, outside of, like, LeBron and Jordan, you could really have anything in your top 5, and, like, it would make sense because they have a lot of good players. But for me, the reason he is in my top 5 is Tim Duncan played 19 seasons in the NBA. 19 points per game and 10.8 rebounds per game with 3 assists per game, 2.2 blocks per game on 50% shooting and about a 70% free throw percentage for that. He is first all-time in playoff blocks. He is third all-time in playoff rebounds and fifth all-time in playoff scoring. He is a 15-time All-Star and a 1-time All-Star MVP, a 15-time All-NBA. He made 10 first-time NBA second team and 3 second teams and 2 third teams, which is a little confusing for someone dummy like me. He's the only player in NBA history to make the All-NBA and All-Defensive Team 13 years straight. And he is, 13 years straight All-NBA defensive team. He's a 5-time NBA champ and a 3-time Finals MVP. And he's a 2-time league MVP and also won Rookie of the Year and is one of the only players to win 3 championships in 3 different decades. The reason he's on my list outside of stats is I think a lot of people, they don't look at him as one of those flashy players. When you look at the NBA today, if you put a Tim Duncan in a league, I think he averages more points than he does now because of the usage percentage of a lot of these different players and a usage percentage of a lot of these different teams. He is known as Mr. Fundamental. A lot of people, the reason he was so good is because he was just great at the fundamentals of basketball, great leader. I think Tim Duncan is in my top 5, and and I weigh my top 5 a little differently, right? It's the accolades regular season, but it's also the playoff stats, right? The 3 Finals MVPs. He has 1 more than Kobe. He has the same amount of rings as Kobe. He's got 2 league MVPs. He deserves to be in the conversation with some of the great players in the league. And like I said, he's probably 5th in there. I wouldn't put him in like the top 3 or anything. But the thing is it's like close. Like I could put KD there. I could put Shaq there. I could put all of those players there.
But now I have to know this before I continue on my side.
Okay.
What's your top 5?
Who's my top? Do you want it in order? Would you say in order?
I want it in order because I want to know where you would put Duncan.
So I have MJ number 1. I have LeBron number 2. I have Kobe 3, Kareem 4, and Tim Duncan 5.
Okay.
And then I would probably, if I had to do like 6 and 7, I'd probably put KD at 6 and Shaq at like 7.
Okay.
I have Shaq up there pretty high.
We just completely.
Let's go through the whole league, Brady. No, I mean the thing is though is like, I don't know, like that's always after the top 5. It's really fluid for me. Like it could go any other way, but I definitely have KD in the top 10. And personally, it depends. If his career goes the way it's going now and he wins another ring, I'd probably put him there. I'll say this right now. Right now he's not there, but I think when he finishes, he will be. LeBron's the only current player right now that I think, regardless, is in my top 10 of all time. And I think
where do you have Kareem?
At 4, probably right now.
Okay. Where do you have Wilt?
As of right now, like 6 through 8, around there.
Where do you have Bill Russell?
See, that's the thing with Bill Russell is I think of the era he played in. I also take a little bit of it. I still have him as top 10, but he's probably like 9 on mine.
Bill Russell
I think so.
9? Bill Russell number 9?
I think a lot of this is the thing.
So where do you put Oscar Robertson?
Not in my top 10.
What?
No, dude, you can't. What are you? You're asking me to fit 20 players in my top 10.
What are you saying, guy?
You're asking me to put way too many players in my top 10. It's like
But am I though? Because think
well,
about this
you
way.
are because like I have players in there that you might not like. I have Tim Duncan in my top 5, so that's gonna bump players back. I eventually have Kevin Durant being in the top probably 8. Right? And it's like you have to have Wilt, you have to have Kareem up in there, you have to have Shaq up in there. Like I have players that are up there that I think, like I look at it this way: pure dominance during their era, but also it's the championships, which is why Bill Russell is still in my top 10, right? But I think a lot of people put almost a lot of stock into Bill Russell during the time he was at. I think as like a legend aspect, he's definitely one of the like he'd be on the Mount Rushmore of NBA players without a doubt. But I think it's just for me, like you got to look at like the whole body of work and like the competition they had during their time. Like players that have played since probably I would say the 80s and on have had way more competition in the league than players that played in the 60s and 70s. I think there weren't as, and it's not that they played against bad players because they were playing against players of their skill, but there wasn't as many superstars back then. Like now it's like every team has at least 2. So it's like you're looking at the way the league is. There's just it's good for the league. I love that it's like that right now. And if I'm going to admit, there probably is a little bit of bias of recency. There's a little recency bias there as well for me as players that I've seen play, like the LeBrons and the Kobes and the Bill Russells, the fucking Tim Duncans, like guys like that, you know. So it does weigh a little bit into that, but just their competition, the leagues that they've played in, their overall body of work, that's just what mine is. And like I said, it could be fluid for anybody. Like I've seen people that Kobe's the best player of all time. I've seen people have Larry Bird in the top 3, right? So it's like it really, really depends on the person and what you weigh. Brady, I'm asking you, what would you say would your be top 5? Just on your, there's no right or wrong answer, to be honest.
So personally, my top 5, I would have to go LeBron.
Okay.
Jordan.
I'm willing to put LeBron there if he wins a couple more, a ring or 2 more.
I would say LeBron. I'd say Jordan.
Yep.
I would then say Kobe, Kareem.
I have Kareem at 4, yeah.
And then this is the weird one. My 5 or 6 is Shaq and Oscar Robertson. Oscar Robertson literally changed the game of basketball, whether people want to say
he did.
It or not.
No, he did. I'm not saying he didn't.
And he's also the triple-double god.
And when I say out of my top 10, like he could be 11. Like that's not a knock on him as a player. Not. But it's just like that's the thing for me is like the way I formulate it is like there's just not enough spots. Like I wish there was 20 spots to put in the top 10. You know what I mean? Like obviously it's mathematically impossible.
Exactly.
But it's like that's the thing with me. Like I agree with you on LeBron. I think if he wins one more ring, I would probably put him over Jordan just because like how long he's played. Like he's almost like the Brady effect, right? Like he's played so long into his career. He's 37 right now, right? I believe.
And then another thing that I hate about the whole LeBron argument. Another thing that I really hate about the whole LeBron argument, how many times LeBron get bounced in the first round?
None.
Nobody want to talk about that.
You want to know though what my point is I can't be a hypocrite and say, oh, LeBron's lost in the finals more because I just said that the league now is more competitive than it's ever been. So there's better players. You can't say the league is harder now to be good in and then say, well, LeBron's lost in the finals 5 times or 4 times. Like you can't say, and literally he lost to players on my list that I'm like, those are some of the better players of all time, like Duncan, right? Like he literally lost to Duncan and Dirk and guys like that are elite Hall of Fame players, and especially for me, Tim Duncan is a top 5 player, and that's the reason I put Tim Duncan there. I just think Mr. Fundamental, he didn't change the game, but he was like the last true big man, that this league has seen. And what I mean true is like you have the athletic guys now, the people that can shoot. Like he was the last like dominant big that couldn't shoot, was okay at free throws, but like made an impact defensively, and I think it's going to be a long time before we see that again.
With the feeling like when you said like I feel like Robertson is just right outside, I think that's my thing with Tim Duncan.
Yeah, I mean it depends on how you view like good players too.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly, and because I think it's like Tim Duncan did all this amazing stuff, right? but then you also have to look at some of the people that are like kind of in front of him. Like you
Yeah.
have to think about the Russells, you have to think about Larry Bird, like you have to think about Magic.
And you got to think about like KD too. Like as much as we hate on him, like he's a game-changing player.
Really
like as much
is.
as we hate on Kyrie, he's a top 20. He's going to be a top 20 player.
We're gonna sit here and we're gonna say that
Allen Iverson.
KD is possibly the greatest scorer of all time.
Yeah, the greatest. Yes.
Like there is no doubt. Like if somebody wants to argue with me about it, like I'll go to the parking lot.
And we even forget like Giannis, like he's under 25 years old, and the accolades that he's put up. Like Giannis could end up, if he develops a shot, right, which he still is young enough to develop,
the most dominant player of all time.
He could be the best player of all time. Right, like he could wind up with like 6 league MVPs and win a couple of rings. Like everybody's shitting on him for like how he plays in players. It's like, bro, it's the same thing for Tatum and Brown. They're only like a year younger than him.
They're literally 22 and 24.
Yeah.
So it's like I know we have the
23 now.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I know we have a conversation where it's like, who would you who would you take over over one or the other? But like right now we have both of these guys that are 23 and 24 years old. And people want them gone.
Yeah, I mean,
like they're not the Celtics' problem. Like,
and the issue with our trade deadline too is everybody. This is the thing I hate is everybody wants us to go get these big superstars, and they're like, but you can't trade Smart, you can't trade Tice, you can't trade Kemba, and it's like not even just for value alone. Even if our good young players were good, the contracts have to match up.
Yeah.
Daniel Tice makes $5 million a year. The next player under him makes 2.7, and that's Robert Williams and Peyton Pritchard.
Yep. It's
everybody else is at 1.3.
We can't just say it's like, yeah, well, I want to get – okay, so I want Giannis, okay?
Yeah.
But don't you dare think about putting Marcus Smart or Kemba in that deal.
Yeah.
Like
it's like it physically
not
cannot
happen that
happen.
way. Like
and like that's what the trade exception. What people are saying is like, so Vucevic is. They came out today and they said Jeremy Grant and Vucevic are like 2 main targets of the Celtics right now.
I like both of those.
I like those. Here's my take on Vucevic. And before we get that, this podcast is brought to you by Sunnyside Sports and more. As always, get your autographs, collectibles, and more at Sunnyside. Go check them out on Facebook. I can't believe I just did that ad read off the top of my head. I swear to everything, I did not read that on anything.
Fire.
So we
it's
have
a short
that
one.
rolling.
We bang that out.
It's a short one.
Every week.
We love them. No, but seriously, though, there is some cool shit in there. If you guys want to go check it out, even if you don't want to like actually participate, it's really fun to just see what's in there and just communicate with the people in that community. So go ahead and join that. Also, don't forget to check out our other sponsors, Thrive and Backyard Spice. We'll have some messages from them coming up, but as it's getting to grilling season, start getting some of that Backyard Spice stuff. We got some. The NBA is in full gear. NHL's in full gear. We're gonna have some cool bets with Thrive too. So try those stuff out. We'll get to some ads with that in a sec. But here's my issue. What I was gonna say with Vucevic, it's kind of a weird issue, but I have been high on Robert Williams for a lot, and this is where I could think of getting someone like Vucevic, and this is going to sound like a cop-out answer, could be really bad for him or really, really good for him, because Vucevic is an excellent, excellent distributor with the ball, right? He is somebody who you can give the ball to, and he'll pass it to Tatum and Brown and he's not going to run up the court with the ball, but he can pass the ball pretty well, right? So you're looking at someone like Vucevic who can also shoot outside, right, who can help space the floor. He's a veteran. And the reason I think it could be really good is because he could teach Robert Williams a couple of things and teach him how to pass and how to get in the right zones and how to play defense, because Vucevic is a very good two-way center. Yeah. I think he's been highly underrated throughout his career. And it's the reason he still has a starting job and he's still getting all this money and all these minutes, because he's highly underrated by the NBA, because it's not a sexy center, you know? He doesn't do anything crazy. He's one of the last true centers, but even then he still shoots. And the reason I think it could be bad for the Celtics is if he starts taking up, because he's on a 3-year deal. So for the next 3 years, if he starts taking up 30 minutes a game, which he'll probably take, Robert Williams is not going to see the court. Because Brad Stevens loves playing Daniel Tice and Tristan Thompson down the stretch to spell that. I mean, I'd like if Vucevic and Rob Williams played the 4 and 5, because you could have Rob Williams play the 4 technically because of his height. Yeah. But Robert Williams has taken such a stride this year. I've been so high on him.
Honestly,
and he has been proving a lot of people
He's
wrong.
Improved so much. Like It's so crazy. You look back to last
Yep.
year and then what he did in the playoffs, and then you look at what he's doing now.
And he still looks
It's
lost a little bit.
yeah,
But
but
he's
he's
still only
doing
21
better.
years old
But he's
or
doing
22.
better now. He's doing so much better now. Like he's being aggressive
Mm-hmm.
along with playing on the off. Like he has more block shots than he does miss shots. So his
Yeah.
offensive efficiency is great. Even it's always under the net, but that's all he has to do. He doesn't have to
Yep.
shoot. Doesn't have to do
Mm-hmm.
anything flashy. Like he is that
Offensively,
solid.
he's in the right spot at the right time. I think defensively, he's a little out of place. It's just why he wasn't getting the minutes. And
Yeah.
another thing too, I just wanted to mention this. There is a report out there that the Celtics are going to be 100% healthy after the All-Star break, which means that Romeo Langford is actually going to be coming back and getting some minutes himself as well.
Which is huge.
Right, because that is a scorer off the bench. If he can hit his potential, people forget how good he was in college and how hyped up he was in the draft and actually how far he slipped because of his injury. Like, he was supposed to be a top 5 pick in the draft, and he slipped to all the way, what was it, 13 we got him, or 14? Somewhere around there. We picked him in the mid to late first round, or early, I would say, like late lottery to mid first round, which was what I would call that. And he slipped because of his injury. He hasn't been healthy, right? He's played, I think it was like 42 games total and doesn't have that many minutes. Like, technically speaking, he's considered a rookie right now still because of his minutes.
Yep.
So,
Ben Simmons shit right there.
right. And, like, people forget. That's the same that people forget with Ben Simmons. Like, people are like, he's a bust. He can't get on the court. It's like, all right, if Romeo Langford gets healthy, that's another scorer you can add with Aaron Nesmith. You can add with Peyton Pritchard off the bench. You have a couple of score. Like, we complain we don't have scorers. That's what we need, too, for the rest of the season, even if we don't win a championship this year, is we need to show the league that our young players actually have value to rebuilding teams.
Yep.
Because the contracts, like I said, it was a downside that the contracts are cheap and they won't match up for trades. But in the future, if we need to match them up for good players, and it doesn't matter about the salaries, teams are going to love having a player that only makes $2 million a year and is under contract for 3 years. They're like, yeah, let's grab this kid. He's really good. They're going to love that, right? So I think the Celtics at the trade deadline,
I really think
Vucevic is a good fit.
I think Vucevic is a good fit, but I think personally, with the way that Williams has been
performing,
developing,
the
way he's been developing and the way he's been performing, fucking word blank. Daniel Tice has been there. You know, he's been doing what he has to do. We have Tristan Thompson. I think logically, going after Vucevic is not that sound, where I think going after Grant is the better of the option.
Yeah.
Because then we're bringing in...
Or Aaron Gordon is an option, too.
Or Aaron Gordon, too. But I feel like if we're going to bring in the cheap... I think the cheaper and better option. I really like Jeremy Grant. I think he's...
The only issue with
really
him...
good player.
The only downside I do see with him is there is potential for a locker room cancer with him because he did leave to go be a big fish in a small pond. And I don't think that he would be too fond of coming to the Celtics and being a bench scorer, because that's essentially what he would be. No. I honestly, if it comes down to it, and if Danny Ainge and the Celtics are like, Rob Williams is our guy, that's what we're like. If they're like, no, this kid's gonna be it, right? I kind of would be okay with someone like a Harrison Barnes coming off the bench. Like, if that's what we get, and like we don't go out and get a center, and we just get some like Harrison Barnes and some, like, honestly, let's do Harrison Barnes and Hassan Whiteside. Like, I'll take that. If that's the deal, wait, are they still on the same team? Is Barnes still in Sacramento?
I know Barnes is still in Sacramento.
Yeah, I think Hassan's still in Sacramento. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure Hassan Whiteside's still in Sacramento. If that's the case, I'm pretty sure the contracts match up because what does Barnes make? Like 20?
So he's on the Kings, and apparently right now Hassan Whiteside is a buyout target of the Los Angeles Lakers.
That's right. Yes. Okay. So I mean, like, that wouldn't hurt. Well, like, I'd be okay with trading like guys like Carson Edwards or someone like that in that deal, and going out and signing someone like an Isaiah Thomas. Like, I know, like, he's not the same, but just like, the fans like, just having someone that the fans love, that you know works in this system, in the Brad Stevens offense, like, There's no sense in not doing that. I'm actually, while you kind of talk, I'm gonna go on NBA Trade Machine and I'm gonna see like if that Barnes deal could work.
Yeah. I just think that with everything going on with the Celtics right now, right? Hold on one second. Let me look this up.
Yeah, you're good.
Celtics record. Here we go. Right now, we were talking about how close they were a few days ago, of last week when they were, or a week and a half ago when they were in 10th.
Yep.
Well, now they're in 4th and they're 5 games behind. So like I was saying, I was like, this is something to not worry about. I am not worried about the Celtics. They're not a bad team by any way, shape, or form. They're going to take over come the All-Star break, and they will come in second and or win the East. Like there is no doubt in my mind that if they're not the first overall seed in the East, they're going to be 2.
Yeah. So just to kind of, I mean, I have to play around with this a little bit more, and you could probably bring in a third team and stuff like this. Apparently, the trade set exception for Gordon, it doesn't really work on NBA Trade Machine, to be honest. Harrison Barnes does fall under the trade exception of 28.5, I believe it is. But it's I'm pretty sure I heard it's more like $2 million because we are over cap space.
Yeah.
So I think this is right. So I think the Celtics would need to clear $7 million before they can even use Barnes. So with that said, I would probably expect either Tristan Thompson or Daniel Tice to be moved at the deadline regardless.
Yeah.
Because if we need to make trades in the future or
I feel like
that,
we
it would
wouldn't
happen.
get rid of Thompson because we just got him here.
And it's also a bad look for free agents. Like if people keep coming here, especially Tristan Thompson,
and they get shipped out,
and that's why I said with Jeff Teague, like even though as bad as he's been playing, like we can't just like ship him out in a deal because like Gordon left, Al Horford left, Kyrie left. Now we let Terry left a few years ago. And then we sign all these guys, and then it's like, oh, yeah, we just got rid of Gordon. We signed him, and we basically traded him, right? And then you look at people want to get – if we do that to Kemba, it's a bad look. Like, that's going to screw you for – as good as Tatum and Brown are, that's going to screw you for free agents, and especially veterans that you think can help your team.
Exactly. That's not going to want veterans to come there and be like, well, now we're just
I don't feel liked by the organization. You know what I mean? Like, they want to be a part of something, too. Like, veterans that are chasing a championship, they're going to want to be a part of something. They're not going to want to like get traded by the Celtics. And I think
I agree.
That's the thing. So like, I don't know, going back to like the Vucevic thing, I think that would be the most ideal situation. I know he's older, but like, do you think a lot, like if you're Danny Ainge, do you think a lineup of Kemba Walker and Jaylen Brown and Tatum and Vucevic is good enough to win you an NBA championship this year or in the next 2 years? This year or next year?
I think it's good enough to win it this year.
Okay.
I really do. Like, I genuinely do believe that. Like,
I think if we get bench pieces with Vucevic, I think it's definitely attainable.
That's what. But here's the thing: our bench pieces are going to slide right back into place. Like,
yeah. Well, that's what I mean. I'm saying if we get, like, in the Vucevic trade, if Trader Danny tries to start adding, like, or if he does like some smaller, because the thing is, we could still do some smaller deals. Like, he could move Daniel Tice's contract and get a couple of like $2.5 million players, right? If he wants to add to the bench, you can sign someone like Whiteside or players that get bought out.
Like we don't need to. We don't need to make it. Like people don't understand. We don't need to make a massive splash to win a championship this year.
No, because I think Tatum and Brown are that good, and I've been saying it too.
They are.
I said I still think they need to work a little bit more on distributing the ball and playing more intense defense. And I think everybody listens to our podcast because we say this shit on any sport, and they just do it. So Tatum and Brown.
I said the Celtics going to turn it around. I said the Bruins going to hit a little bit. I didn't call it over.
Yeah, I mean,
and I said the Bruins are going to hit a little bit of a lull. They lost 3 in a row. I don't know. I think people. I know the future.
People listen. I think that's what happens. But I also agree that the Celtics right now, like, we knew it wasn't gonna fit. Like, we knew it was close, but like, we like our team, right? We're frustrated. I still think Brad Stevens has trouble managing the lineup at times, but I think he's finally coming around and realizing, like, damn, Robert Williams does need to get the minutes because, hey, like it or not, this is the new style of NBA big men, is athletic freaks that can jump out of the building and can, lob, like, that's like the Bam Adebayos, right? Like, as much as he's small, we need Robert Williams out there to be a presence against Giannis. Yeah. Because Robert Williams also looks bigger, too, this year. That's something people didn't notice. Like, he put on some weight. And it's like, if he can do that again...
Also, we don't need to worry about Giannis because we have Semi Ojeleye. So
yeah, that's his fucking kryptonite.
That's his kryptonite. He literally holds that man down.
I love it. Like, that's the only reason I like Semi. Like,
because he's yacked. And
I just think Semi... The reason I want to get rid of him is because I think he's a very expendable player. I think you can find a Semi somewhere else. Yeah, he's the same thing with, like, the Jay Crowder type player. It's like, if there's value... As much as we need those players, if you can add Semi and grab somebody of value back, like, that's why I want Vucevic, Aaron Gordon. I want to sign Hassan Whiteside. Like, just, we need some big men in here. I think losing Cantor was probably a mistake. I think we could have used him on the bench.
I agree completely.
But I don't know, man. I think the trade deadline coming up is gonna be interesting. Before we get to anything else, before we hop in, we're gonna take a quick message and go to a quick break from Thrive and Backyard Spice. We will be right back. Check out these messages from our awesome sponsors, and we'll see you in a sec.
What is up, everybody? It is your favorite dad, Brady, here, telling you about one of his favorite things on the planet. And no, it's not eating. It is sports betting. Our sponsor, Thrive Fantasy, is a daily fantasy sports app for player props. And what's great about their app is that they've eliminated the need to do countless hours of research because they only ask you about the top-tier athletes in the respected field you're looking for. To get started, make sure you sign up using promo code DADS, and you will receive an instant match bonus of up to $50 on your first deposit of $20 or more. So let's say you deposit in that $50, you're going to get $50 back, having $100 to bet right on your own here. So make sure you download the Thrive Fantasy app on the Apple App Store or Play Store, or by visiting their website at www.thrivefantasy.com. Like I said, make sure you sign up with promo code DADS, D-A-D-S, and let's sign up and hashtag prop up today.
We know the dads love to cook, and we're excited to share our new sponsor, Backyard Spice. Backyard Spice specializes in homemade spices to enhance your grilling or cooking. But it doesn't stop there, because you can put this shit on anything. French fries, burgers, chicken, turkey, and honestly, whatever the hell you feel like. And let me tell you, their new flavor, Rub and Racks, chef's kiss. Their spices are actually handmade, natural, and they taste amazing. Head over to backyardspicecompany.com and use promo code DADS for 15% off your order. Get cooking.
And we're back! We're back!
We are back. Shout out to Thrive, Sunnyside, and Backyard Spice for sponsoring this podcast as always. Brady.
Speaking of how about this? Ready for this?
I was going to lead you in, but you were already
ready for this segue? Ready for this one?
Don't break it.
Speaking of trade deadlines, how about we talk about free agency? NFL, baby.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming fast.
Is it the 25th?
Something like that.
Or the 17th? It's in that span. It's like that week. It might be the 17th.
Free agent start.
I know it was like a random ass date.
It is March 17th.
Yep.
Wait. Legal tampering will begin March 15th.
Yeah. So
17th is when you sign people, but the 15th is
when you can announce it. Yeah, you can announce the deals and start meeting with people. So I for one, I've been talking about this. I did a little rant on our Instagram, and I said that I think the best plan for the Patriots moving forward is to re-sign Cam Newton for this season. Because let's be honest, I don't think there's any move right now outside of like a Deshaun Watson or a Russell Wilson that's going to bring us to the Super Bowl right away. I think we can easily be a playoff team, but the goal is to win another Super Bowl, especially with Bill Belichick. And I think with Cam Newton, you can sign him, make him the starter for another 2 seasons, draft a quarterback early, and develop them
Give
while
the
Cam
guy
Newton,
a whole
yeah,
offseason.
and give him weapons, and we have defensive players all coming back. Marcus Cannon's coming back. Like you have some gel. Like I'm not, as much as people are like, oh, Marcus Cannon's old. It's like I'm not worried.
Marcus
about him.
Cannon's been having the past 3 seasons he's played,
Yep.
2 seasons he played were the 2 best seasons of his life, and he was only getting better. So
and he came to.
I am a notorious Marcus Cannon hater.
And he came to he's our right tackle, right?
Yes.
So he's coming at the right time. Joe Thuney's gonna leave, right? And when you slides to his natural position at left guard, he's an amazing player, right? Honestly, everybody talked about, oh my God, look at Tristan Wirfs, like, he had a good rookie year, and people didn't talk about Onwenu because of how good he was, because of how bad we were. So it makes sense, but Onwenu is a good piece, right? So if you bring in a tight end, and it doesn't have to be Hunter Henry, like if it's Gerald Everett,
Rudolph.
If it's Gerald Everett or Kyle Rudolph, I'm okay with
Kyle
that.
Rudolph. I would love Kyle Rudolph because he is he is the definition of a tight end grinder.
Yep.
Like he doesn't need to catch the ball to make an impact.
No.
But he always
he blocks very well.
Like he always finds a way to catch the ball too. So if you're bringing a guy in like Kyle Rudolph to work with Dalton Keene and Asiasi, 2 very young, moldable players, he can
still
show
young.
them
People
something.
forget. People think that in the NFL, people think in any sport, the second you draft somebody, because everybody's so caught up in the DKs and all these players that immediately get drafted are impact players. And I can't believe we didn't draft this guy.
You know what? I can't wait for Russ to get traded to the Bears and DK Metcalf becomes an average Joe.
Yeah,
I can't wait for that because DK Metcalf can't run routes.
Yep.
So Russell Wilson throwing him up prayers because he's a little bit faster and taller than a fucking 6 foot tall corner, maybe 6 foot tall corner. DK Metcalf will become another wide receiver if Russell Wilson gets traded. I'm saying it now. But back to free agency. We're back.
So I'm actually watching right now some of the CDL right now. We're at the major, so that's why you keep looking up on YouTube. I'm watching Florida play Paris right now, game 2. It's losers bracket, so it's loser go home in this match. But anyway, the thing with the free agency is you get a tight end, right? Like you said. Even if you don't get the best wide receivers out there, you go after guys that are available like John Ross and some secondary wide receivers. Just give us actual weapons, right?
Bring back Cam. Take Curtis Samuel.
I'd take John Ross too. I'd take a flyer on him. He's a top pick in the draft. He's electric. He's fast. I think he would fit really well with this team. But you get guys like that, right? And then in the first round, there's a lot of talk that the Patriots have been scouting. Apparently, even Trevor Lawrence. There's talks that the Patriots could actually trade up.
They scouted the top 5 QBs.
Right. So that's the thing. The Patriots could take that.
Right.
To move up.
I feel like to move up to number 1 would have to be Ricky
Who is it?
Williams.
The Jaguars.
Yeah. It would have to be the Ricky Williams thing, where it's the Saints traded every asset they had that year.
I think. It would take this year's first, next year's first, next year's second, or this year's second, one of the two. And then it would probably take, I would say, Gilmore even, could be, I mean, we're probably not going to trade Gilmore, but I think, it would take a player like a Winovich or even a Stidham if the Jaguars, think that they can mold him. And also, they might, because the Jaguars think they might have something with Gardner Minshew. I think there's a sneaky suspicion that they still, they're in the Sam Darnold aspect where they're we're going to give this kid a little bit more time.
He's not good!
But he's not good. I don't care. I'm not a Jaguars fan, so I don't give a crap.
Bad player!
I don't care what they think, but that's what I'm saying is I think that there might be a suspicion that they think that they can get something out of Minshew. So it's I get Trevor Lawrence is there, but if you're a team that's rebuilding like the Jaguars, think of their coach right now sitting there and their GM saying, well, we can get a first, a second, another first, and probably a future third down the line for this first overall pick. And we're technically we're not desperate at quarterback. They do need one, but they could deal with Minshew for another couple years. Or they could go after Jameis Winston, or they could go after Mariota. You know what I mean? There's options for them. Mitch Trubisky.
I think the Patriots going after Jameis Winston is an excellent idea.
I think the New England Patriots should be kicking the tires on any quarterback possible.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
I love the smoke screens that they're throwing up for all the other teams in the league. People are like, are the Patriots trading up? Are they drafting Mac Jones at 15? Are they going to land, Micah Parsons at 50? Like, what are they doing?
Like, do? Yeah,
and that's the good thing about Belichick is he sits there and smirks because
he holds his cards.
he's gonna get Kyle Duggar at 15 overall, Lenore Ryan. Like he knows he's just playing with all these teams, and he's gonna make all these teams make bad decisions so that he can get he can make the best decisions with all, because this is the most ammo I think Bill Belichick has had ever for like off season. I'm talking money, I'm talking draft picks, and I'm talking like young players. Yeah. And like he could get really creative and aggressive here, and especially with guys like you have Hightower coming back, which people forget how important Hightower is. Mm-hmm. And you have him coming back, you have Patrick Chung coming back. Like that secondary is going to be even better. Mm-hmm. Our front seven that everybody's complaining about is going to be even better. Chase Winovich is still developing, so like people like to shit on him, but like he's going to be a nice little Jamie Collins-esque type player, right? Can back up to linebacker and go on the line, can move around on the line, can be versatile.
Anthony Jennings was going to be great. Like
Josh Uche was a good pick from Michigan. Like
it was just like unfortunate. That. Like where
Kyle Duggar
players. Like, we're getting these players that get the minutes, and then they get injured, and then everybody's like, oh, they got injured, so now they're bad. Like,
but that's what I was my point with. That's what I was trying to get at earlier. As I said, everybody assumes that it's like the NBA or NFL, and they're like, or it's like any sport, really. In any sport, they're like, all these players, the second they get drafted, they have to be amazing. And it's like, they don't. They don't have to be amazing right away. Now, if you're N'Keal Harry, if you're a first-round pick, you would expect after about a year or so, maybe 2 years.
You need something.
You would need something there, right? That's the complaint with him. But like people forget Damian Harris had almost the entire year, and now he's our featured back.
Yep.
Like people forget that. Like they need to develop. Chase Winovich was really nothing his first year, right? Like this was his second season, and he looked really good. Like people forget it's still his second season.
Exactly.
Like, he's still developing. But I would say, Brady, I'm gonna give you my three, but I'm gonna ask you after what your three biggest needs are in this offseason. For me, it's quarterback, defensive tackle, and tight end. Even though it's not wide receiver, I think it's tight end because Cam Newton, if you're bringing Cam Newton back, regardless of if you draft a quarterback or you trade for one, I think he needs tight ends in order to be who he is. He's always worked well with tight ends. And I think you need a defensive tackle just because even after this year, we've lost it. Also, before I get to you, side note, Kyle Van Noy is probably going to get cut and will probably end up back on the Patriots.
He already did get cut.
Isn't it not official yet till the 15th, though?
Well,
or
yeah,
no?
But
I don't know. Yeah, I didn't know if it was 100% official.
He was done. So
yeah, so he'll be back here.
He'll be back here, and
he'll be back.
He'll walk into the office
and Von Miller money.
Bill will look at him and say, "Did you learn your lesson?" And he's gonna be like, "Yes, Dad." And he's like, "All right."
Jamie Collins hasn't learned his lesson. He's done it twice.
Yeah, exactly. It just doesn't. It's just physically like I think getting Kyle. If we get Kyle Van Noy back, that'd just be unreal. But
because it showed we didn't have depth.
Yeah, I agree.
He's a depth piece, even if he's not going to be like what he was. Like just having him there that knows the plays, knows the system is huge.
I agree.
But what would you say? Like, so I'm going to ask you this. Like, I know we have like quarterback as an issue. I've said before Cam Newton should be the guy. What do you think?
I think,
especially with them saying they might trade up too. What would you do, and what do you think is most realistic?
I'm saying offense, because our defense is going to come back, and our defense is going to be strong. Like if we want to go after a D tackle in free agency, that's great. I wouldn't hate it.
I like Ryan Kerrigan for the inside too.
But I think that we need to look into. Of course, we need to look into quarterback. There you go, quarterback, wide receiver, and tight end. I feel like those three are the big bugaboos of the team right now.
They are.
And I think if you were to bring Cam back, right? You bring back Cam, you get Curtis Samuel, you get Kyle Rudolph, you get a guy that'll be able to run the locker room. You get a guy that was running the locker room. Players respect him, players like him, players wanted him back. So I mean, if he comes back, there's not going to be a lot of hate. I mean, fans are going to hate it because fans are going to hate it.
Yeah.
But
I like Kyle Rudolph a lot.
The team loved Cam Newton. And that's a fact.
And I love Cam Newton too.
Exactly.
But I was saying like Kyle Rudolph would be something else that fans would probably hate too.
Mm-hmm.
I also agree. I also agree though with like
all tight ends.
we need like the locker room back, because it kind of felt like last year that like it almost felt very lonely on the Patriots team. Like there didn't feel to be a voice. You know what? Like on the Patriots, like even if we were having a bad couple of stretch, like there felt like depth to the team. It felt like we just had a bunch of nobodies and nobody stepped up. Like it really felt like you could feel it around the team. Like it was just very like gloom, right? And now I think you bring Cam back, the team loves him. That's why I said that, Brady. I think that's the best bet. You give him an entire offseason that he knows the plays, right? He's going to get over COVID. He has an entire offseason to work out, to work with new receivers, right? To build an offense around him and to actually work with a game plan week in, week out as him as your starter. Because even though he played bad, weeks 1 through 5 showed he still has a lot in the tank.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, he's done. That's it. Right? And it's like, no, he got COVID. And even Jason Tatum, who has COVID, is like, I'm still winded running up and down the court. I got COVID. I'm not athletic at all, but like my allergies have been like, I know it's stupid, but my allergies have been worse than they've ever been. And like, I've been having trouble breathing like I never have before.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, I've talked to so many people that have had COVID and they're like, I still have trouble breathing.
I mean, you and breathing really don't have to come in hand in the first place. So.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, it's already fucked, you know?
It's already fucked, dude.
And then you add that in and it's like, oh boy, here we go. No, but like, that's the truth, man. Like, I think people forget, like, Cam Newton, and especially in a sport where, like, it's very game plan oriented more than any other sport, to where a team can just game plan against you. If they know Cam Newton's winded, has COVID, just don't let the guy run. I don't care if he throws over the top, right? So if he can't extend plays, if he can't get out of the pocket, and you're just blitzing him, and he's winded, he's going to get so tired and, like, not be who he is.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know, man. What do you think is the most... Do you think the rumors are true of us looking at the top 5 quarterbacks? Or do you think that's just Bill scouting to say if somebody falls at 15, we're taking them? Or do you think he could trade up to even, let's say, like 8 or 7 or someone to Detroit?
I think he could trade up. I really do like genuinely believe that if they're going out, if like the media is actually going out and saying like, oh, the Patriots have scouted all top 5, then they're planning on it.
I would say to Detroit, I would say they could trade back, because Detroit, like where they're at, like they could take a cornerback, but like one of those cornerbacks could also slip to them at 15. Like they're probably going to go defense, I would say, unless like someone like Jalen Waddle or someone's available. But like if the Patriots are like, hey, we'll give you a first round this year and a second round next year to move up, it might be worth it for Detroit to be like, let's do it. You know? You want, what do they have, 7? Detroit has like, I think 7.
What, picks?
Yeah, 7th pick. The 7th.
Oh, 7th pick?
Yeah. They have 7th or 8th. I forget it's 7th, 8th, or 9th. I'm really bad with remembering these things. I know it's in that range. No, I think the Eagles has 6. I know that.
Oh, look.
Yeah, look, because the Patriots, I would say that would be the most realistic team. I would say a long shot could be Atlanta. If Atlanta thinks, like, if Atlanta's going with Matt Ryan for the future, they can move back to 15, take some linemen or defense or get some help. Because, like, the thing is with Atlanta, they might just be like, new coach, like, we have the talent, let's just try to finish games. Because Atlanta, like, I think at one point their point differential was, like, -1.
Detroit has 7.
Detroit does have 7. So I'm pretty sure Atlanta had, like, a -1 point differential, which literally meant that, like, they lost by 1. Like, if they scored 3 more points, just total, they would have won more games. Like, so, like, Atlanta's there. People forget, like, they have a pretty good defense. Their offense is really good, especially with Julio. So I think, like, Atlanta could be, like, I don't think they're going to take a quarterback, to be honest. No, and I don't think they're going to take a wide receiver. I think Atlanta and Detroit are the 2 most realistic spots for the Patriots to trade up to, because I don't think Atlanta's going to go offense unless Sewell drops to 4, and I don't think he is. And I also think that the Lions aren't going to draft anybody unless, like, you have Jalen Waddle or Jamar Chase drop to them at 7, which I also don't think they will, because I think they'll go to the Eagles. I think the Eagles will make that pick for a wideout. I don't know, man. I think that's possible. 100%.
I mean, I think when free agency starts,
yeah,
it's gonna be like I think this free agency is gonna be bananas.
Oh yeah, I think it's gonna be the best it's ever been because a lot of teams have cap. Nobody wanted to spend last year because of COVID, and now like everybody's like kind of like, fans are starting to come around.
Fans are gonna be
especially in Houston, like
dude,
Houston,
like,
Dallas,
it's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, all those Texas teams are gonna have 100% full capacity. Like fans are gonna go back and like do that, and like a lot, and even Massachusetts is opening up venues. So like. New England, the Patriots are going to have games. Like, teams are going to be like, all right, we're going to recoup some money here this year. Go spend. Especially teams like the Patriots who, A, have cap space, but also have Robert Kraft, who's ungodly rich. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's very willing to spend the money there. So I think for that place alone, Brady, I think it is going to be very exciting. I think everything's going to come out at once.
Yeah, and it's like you look at all the people, like you look at all the people that are on the board, right? Like you look at all the wide receivers on the board. You even look at all the quarterbacks are on the board. It's like Dak's still there.
Dak, I know people forget Dak could leave.
What's going to happen with Andy Dalton? What's going to happen with Jameis Winston? Are they going to bring Jameis Winston back? Is Russ going to get traded somewhere? Is Drew Brees going to ruin the chance of getting Russell Wilson?
Yep.
Like, I think that's one of the best things to think about. Drew Brees, like, did this whole thing, right? Where, like, he basically retired. Basically,
he told Jameis Winston on the sideline, "It's your team now."
He brought his kids down. Like Tom Brady was there throwing the football with everybody, hanging out, having a good time. And then there was like the videos of Drew. There's been like videos of Drew Brees like back
flipping
in the
tires.
Gym. Yeah, like working out and shit. And like people are like, "Oh, great! Like Drew Brees might come back," but then it's like, if Russell Wilson's don't do this, Drew. Like you can stop. You really can.
I think he saw Tom Brady win. I think he was gonna retire if Brady lost to Mahomes. I think he was gonna be like, "It's my time." But he saw Tom Brady win and was like, "I could probably still get another ring.
I can do this." Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
if Mahomes won and Brady got smoked and was like, "All right, it's Mahomes' league now," and like Mahomes and Rodgers and Josh Allen's league, he would have been like, "I'm out."
Yeah.
But because he's like, holy fuck, Brady won another championship, he's like, I might have a chance.
But it's just great because like all the fans would welcome him back with open arms.
100%. And they didn't even have Michael Thomas the whole year. Like,
but they're just saying, but they basically be saying like you don't have to though.
Yeah.
Like we won't be mad, but we won't be.
But that's the thing. They're in a good spot because if he's not there, they probably trade for Russ. And if he is there, you have Drew Brees. So it's like. It's not terrible, but the thing is, people forget Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas didn't play. People forgot that.
Yeah, but he's a little slant boy, and
right.
when he did play, they abused him because they were like, "You're literally a little slant boy."
Right, but I'm saying like Drew Brees didn't have his safety net. Like Drew Brees, that's why he's slant boy because Drew Brees throws the slants.
Yeah, we're just gonna play cover 3 and let you run directly into the middle of the field, and then we're gonna kill you.
I think we need to do a draft special. I don't know about you, but I think. What day is free agency officially open?
17th.
But like day, like
what day?
Is that like a Tuesday, a Wednesday?
You look it up.
Cause I have an idea. See, this is what we're doing. We're coming up with ideas right on the podcast for you guys.
Wednesday.
So Brady,
a normal day we do a podcast.
What time does it open though?
What time does it open?
Yeah, is it like a 4 p.m. or is it like 7 p.m.? Like it would probably be like a 4 p.m.
Agency study. I thought it was usually like noon and shit.
Because
free agency signing period begins March each year. 2019, it began at 4 p.m.
So we'll say March 4 because it's probably 4.
Yeah.
So what we could do is instead of a podcast that week, we just hop on and we just do an hour-long live-streamed episode to YouTube that we turn into a podcast. So if you weren't there, it'll just be an episode, right? Like a regular episode. Yeah. But it's going to be a draft. It's going to be a free agency special. And what we're going to do, we sit there and we just talk about free agency moves as they happen and as they come in. And we'll start our recording at like 6. So we'll be a couple hours in. So we'll catch everybody up and stuff. I'm down to do that. Or if we want to do from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. and recap the day and anything that comes in at that time we could talk about. I'm down to do that if you are.
I'm completely down for that.
I think people listening would love to see that because everybody knows on this podcast we're mostly football first, then basketball, then hockey, then baseball. Like that's kind of our. I think if you don't know by now, like we're most passionate about football, and rightfully so. We're in football town right now, so like it makes sense. Yeah, I'm down to do that. I say that week we do an episode like that. Next week we'll do a regular episode, obviously, but the week after, we could spend a whole episode just sitting there going over all the moves that happened. We can look at if the Patriots made any moves. We can look at like the overall effect of the roster. I think it will be fun. We'll be able to like really determine like kind of what's going on. So
yeah,
I think that's a good plan. But Brady, you know what the people want?
They want a dad joke.
100%.
They want a dad joke.
So
I saw this one on Twitter earlier today. I started it because I thought it was really good. So since Chris Hemsworth is Australian.
Yep. Wait, really?
And Thor is from space. That makes him Australian.
What?
That makes Thor Australian. Think about it. He's from space. Australian. There we go. That's what I'm talking about.
Sorry, it took my brain a little bit for that. I'm sitting there. I'm like, wait, hold on. Excuse me?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Bangers.
I'm excited. We're going to leave you out on that dad joke. Just kidding. I'm going to talk for a little bit longer. Remember to follow us on social media on 40 Dads Podcast on Twitter, 40 Dads Podcast on Instagram, and 40 Yard Dads on Facebook. Also, ask to join the 40 Yard Dads Den. And again, we have a new merch spot. We're still adding merch. If you go down in the description, for those of you that have been looking to buy merch, we have a new home. We've been running into some issues with Spreadshirt and stuff like that, so we swapped. We're now with Spring. So I believe it's just called Spring now. But we're on there. The links are down below. We're still in the process of setting everything up, but we're excited. We're going to have some new merch coming out to celebrate the spring and summer coming up, the Dad's Prime Time. We're coming out of hibernation, and we're going to rock and roll. Also, for those wondering where Bobby has been, just kind of a quick update. He's kind of just really busy with work and school and everything right now. There is a good chance that Bobby might have to skip out on a couple episodes. We don't know. He's trying to figure out his new schedule, so he might not be able to do the podcast with us anymore. But we just wanted to be transparent, and so if people are like, "What's going on?"
Where's Bob? He's not here.
And it's kind of the same thing that happened with Bren, for those of you that have been here in the beginning. So we've kind of decided that
just got busy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and we're old fucks, so they're still kind of in school and stuff. But me and Brady, we have some time after work and stuff. But we want to make sure that you guys know what's kind of going on in our plan. So our plan is that we're just going to do me and Brady. And then if Bobby can come by, that'd be great. If Bren wants to come by, great. If Baba wants to come by, we'll just keep rotating in people when they can. So that way it's not too much of a inconvenience or too much of a stress on them to have to plan this every single week. We're still the 40-Yard Dads, and we'll still always have a third guest when we can. But just I guess it goes back to the original days, people that have been here since day one, because we were the original two. So it's going to be a little bit weird, and it has been weird just doing it with two people, but I just wanted to keep everybody updated. So
yes, sir.
Bobby might be back. He might figure his things out, and this conversation will mean nothing. And if you're listening to this this far, you're a fucking OG and a savage, so thank you. But we will see you guys on the next week's episode. Again, remember, when free agency starts, it's going to be a little different of an episode. So if you want to catch us live, go on our YouTube at 40 Yard Dads. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like. And hit the notification bell for updates so that we can actually keep you updated when we do live. We're going to be doing some more content that comes on the YouTube.